Before we begin, make sure to subscribe right now. If you're passionate about rare coins, untold history, and hidden treasures sitting quietly in drawers and attics, this channel is for you. Hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell, and let's explore something incredible together. Now picture this, that it's 1973 in South Africa. The world is changing. Politics are loud, but the real stories, the silent stories, are in the pockets of ordinary men. Farmers, shopkeepers, factory workers. The men who carried coins not for collecting, but for bread, fuel, and family. And in those pockets, among the everyday jingling of metal, was a small, copper-plated coin. Just 5 cents. Nothing much. Or so it seemed. This wasn't just any coin. It bore the heart of a nation on the front. The strong profile of Jan van Riebeeck, founder of the first permanent European settlement at the Cape of Good Hope. A man both celebrated and controversial. His gaze on the coin is steady, looking forward, as if toward a future that no one in 1973 could fully predict. The lettering is crisp, SUD Africa, South Africa. A bilingual stamp on a bilingual nation. Turn the coin over and you're greeted by an image that's deeply symbolic. 2 blue cranes, standing tall. Elegant, alert. These birds aren't just there for decoration. They represent vigilance, grace, and the delicate balance of nature. A reminder that South Africa is a land of beauty, resilience, and complexity. The number 5 rests confidently below them, declaring its worth. 5 cents. A small value at the time. Insignificant, maybe, but here's the twist. This coin, this everyday piece of pocket change, is no longer ordinary. Not even close. For decades, these coins passed through hands, unnoticed. Children bought sweets with them. Mechanics wiped oil off them. They fell between couch cushions, dropped in car consoles, and slept quietly in piggy banks. They were forgotten, left to gather dust in old tins, jars, and worn wallets buried deep in drawers. But time changes everything. You see, coins are not just currency. They are markers of time. And when time passes, even the smallest coin can rise in value, if it survives, and if it carries something special. Now, here's what most people don't realize. In 1973, the South African mint was already evolving. The political climate was shifting. The way coins were minted, materials, dyes, quality control, all of it was in transition. And as with many coins from transitional eras, subtle differences crept in. Slight imperfections, rare minting errors, or even pristine versions that were never widely circulated. All of these become key ingredients in rarity. And rarity? That's where real value is born. Today, the 5 cents 1973 coin has become something far more than a forgotten relic. For collectors, especially those who understand the South African numismatic story, it represents a hidden gem. But the value of a coin isn't just in the metal or the minting. It's in the story. And if you're a man in your 50s or 60s, you might remember when you could buy a Coke and a packet of chips with just a few of these coins. You remember the smell of a petrol station in the 70s. The sound of coins clinking in a leather wallet. The faces you saw every day. The ones that time has taken. And maybe, just maybe, you've still got one of these coins, tucked somewhere in a forgotten box. A time machine hiding in plain sight. Now, collectors across the world are paying attention. Because when the right version of this 1973 5 cents coin shows up, especially one in top-grade condition, it sparks serious interest. Why? Because so few have survived in perfect shape. So few still carry their full detail, the sharpness of the cranes, the unblemished lines of Van Riebeeck's profile, the original mint luster untouched by years of handling. And when one of these rare beauties appears, something astonishing happens. Auction houses light up. Collectors bid fiercely. And the final price? Hold on to your seat. The most pristine examples of the South African 5 cents coin from 1973, especially those graded as MS65 or higher, have fetched an unbelievable amount on the international market. How much, you ask? 35,000 US dollars. Yes, you heard that right. That small coin, once worth just enough to buy a toffee or newspaper, now holds a value of $35,000. All because time passed. All because you kept it. All because history, condition, and rarity came together in one small piece of copper-plated steel. So, before you dismiss that old coin jar, before you throw out that box of junk from your grandfather's drawer, pause. Look closer. That one coin could be your story, your retirement gift, your legacy, and here's the real beauty of it. It's not just about the money. It's about memory, about preserving a piece of the past, about holding something in your hand that connects you to who you were, where you were, and what it all meant. So if you've still got one of these coins, cherish it. Get it appraised. You might be sitting on a fortune, or better yet, a treasure worth far more than just dollars. Before we end, remember this. History isn't always found in museums. Sometimes it's hiding in your own home, waiting for you to rediscover it. And don't forget, subscribe for more stories like this. You never know what's coming next. Before we dive into this fascinating piece of history, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell icon so you never miss a story that brings the past back to life. Just like this one. Now, close your eyes for a moment and picture the year 1965. South Africa was in the midst of intense social and political change. The world felt different. Radios crackled with news that stirred the soul, and coins jingled in the pockets of men who had seen wars, built homes with their bare hands, and carried their nations forward. One of those coins, a small, almost forgotten piece of metal, would go on to become a silent witness to history, and today, it could be worth a fortune. It wasn't made of gold or silver. No, the 1965 5-cent coin from South Africa was modest, just nickel-plated copper. But its value doesn't lie in its materials. It lies in its story, its rarity, and its deep connection to a moment in time that shaped a generation. Hold that coin in your hand, and you're holding more than currency. You're holding 3.24 grams of a country's spirit. A coin only 19.4 millimeters wide, but vast in the journey it's taken through pockets, drawers, collections, and history books. On one side, a humble image, a blue crane, South Africa's national bird, taking flight. A symbol of freedom, grace, and endurance. You can almost see its wings caught mid-motion, representing a nation's struggle to rise above its challenges. It's not just art, it's identity. A national emblem pressed into copper and nickel, meant to last for generations. Turn it over, and you find the inscription, South Africa, South Africa, with the year 1965 split between the two languages. A reminder of the country's dual identity, its cultural layers, and the tensions and unity woven into its past. Above it all, a regal portrait of Jan van Riebeeck, the Dutch settler who represents both the beginning of European presence and centuries of change to come. But what truly makes this coin special isn't just its design or composition. It's the context. 1965 wasn't just any year. It was a year heavy with transition. South Africa was a young republic, having left the British Commonwealth just a few years earlier in 1961. The nation was redefining itself, and every aspect of daily life, from the money people spent to the laws they followed, was under transformation. The 5-cent coin minted in that year was part of that redefining process. It saw everyday use, passed through countless hands, perhaps even your own. It was there in moments quiet and grand, from paydays to pocket change for sweets, from bar counters to church donations. And because it was so common back then, most people didn't think twice about it. That's what makes it so valuable today. So many were spent, lost, worn down, or melted. Only a few survived in pristine condition, locked away in drawers, tins, or in the forgotten corners of old wooden cabinets. The irony is this: the coin everyone ignored, the coin taken for granted, is now one of the most sought-after collectibles in the world of numismatics. Collectors today are scouring estate sales, auctions, and private collections trying to get their hands on it. Not just any version, but that one coin in exceptional, untouched, mint condition. A coin that hasn't been scratched by time. A coin that still gleams with the light of 1965. And here's something that might just knock you off your feet. The highest recorded value for a flawless, museum-grade example of the 1965 South African 5-cent coin? $1 million US. That's right. A coin that once bought a loaf of bread can now buy a house, a luxury car, and still leave you with change to spare. How? Why? It all comes down to rarity, condition, and historical significance. Only a handful of these coins were preserved in perfect condition, and those that survived untouched have become almost mythical in the coin collecting world. Wealthy collectors, investors, and museums are willing to pay astonishing sums to own one, because they aren't just buying metal, they're buying a legacy. So, take a moment to think. Do you have one of these in a jar, an old wallet, or your father's forgotten box of keepsakes? Maybe it's sitting quietly in your drawer right now, waiting to be rediscovered. If you do, you might be holding a key to something far more than money. You might be holding a chapter of history, and possibly a fortune. This coin is more than currency. It's a connection to a generation that built, struggled, and triumphed. A generation that didn't ask for luxury, but earned every bit of respect. The 1965 5-cent coin is a tribute to that spirit, that grit, that resilience. It's proof that sometimes the smallest things leave the biggest mark. So, if this story struck a chord, if it reminded you of your own journey, your past, or your heritage, don't forget to subscribe and stay with us. Because we're just getting started. There are more stories like this waiting to be told. Stories of coins, people, and moments that shape the world we live in today. And remember, that little coin in your pocket could be worth far more than you ever imagined. It could be worth $1 million. Before we begin, take a second to hit that subscribe button. If you enjoy exploring the hidden stories behind forgotten treasures, rare coins, and powerful moments in history, you won't want to miss what we share here. Now let's talk about something special. Not just a piece of metal, not just another coin, but a symbol of a turning point in a nation's journey. This is the 1994 5 Rand coin from South Africa. At first glance, it may not look like much, just another coin with a number on it. But behind it is one of the most powerful stories of the 20th century, and a mystery that's captured the attention of collectors around the world. To understand why this coin matters, we need to step back in time. It's 1994. South Africa stands at the edge of history. Decades of struggle, division, and hardship are coming to an end. For the first time, all South Africans have voted in a democratic election. The world watches as Nelson Mandela, a man who spent 27 years in prison, walks onto the stage to become president. A moment of transformation, a moment of hope. And in that very same year, the South African Mint releases a special coin, the 5 Rand commemorative. This isn't your everyday coin. It was created to honor the inauguration of President Mandela, the first black president of South Africa, a symbol of peace, unity, and a new beginning. Let's take a closer look at what makes this coin special. On one side, you'll find the national coat of arms, a powerful symbol in itself, representing the heritage and pride of the country. Around it, the name of the nation appears in both English and Afrikaans, a nod to the past and the unity of languages and cultures coming together. But the real story is on the other side. There, engraved with sharp detail, is the image of the Union buildings in Pretoria, the site of Mandela's historic inauguration. Above it, the words presidential inauguration, and below, the coin's denomination, 5 Rand. The edges of this coin aren't like others. They alternate between smooth and ridged, giving it a unique feel in the hand. It's made of nickel-plated copper, a material that gives it durability and weight. But what gives it real weight is its story. Now, here's where things get interesting. Over 10 million of these coins were minted for circulation. That's not rare on the surface. But like any great story, the real value hides in the details. There were also a limited number of proof coins made that year. These weren't meant for regular use. They were specially struck with incredible precision, high polish, and sharp detail, reserved for collectors and dignitaries. These proof coins are much rarer, with numbers rumored to be around just 10,000. And that's where the treasure hunt begins. Because while the regular version may pass through hands without notice, the proof versions, especially those preserved in perfect condition, are where collectors start paying serious attention. Condition matters. A coin that's been rattling around in pockets for years, scratched and worn, will fetch little more than its face value. But one that has never been used, uncirculated, untouched by time, that's where the excitement begins. collectors grade coins on a scale. At the bottom, you've got heavily worn, circulated examples. At the top, mint state and proof coins, often stored in special cases, with every detail perfectly preserved. If you have one of those, especially from a year as significant as 1994, you could be holding something truly rare, but it doesn't stop there. Some coins from that year may also feature subtle minting errors, slight misalignments, off-center strikes, or double images. To the untrained eye, they look like flaws. But to the collector, they're gold, literally and figuratively. These mistakes can send the value of a coin soaring. Now, let's talk about myths that you've probably heard people claim their coin is worth thousands, maybe even tens of thousands. There are stories online of people selling these coins for enough to buy a car or even a house. But let's be honest, most of those stories are based on hype, not fact. The truth is more grounded. A regular, circulated 5 Rand from 1994, even in decent condition, is unlikely to fetch more than a few dollars from a collector. It's a beautiful coin, yes. It's historic, but it's also relatively common, unless it's in extraordinary condition. The proof version, on the other hand, is another story. If you own a proof-grade 5 Rand from 1994, especially one that's been officially graded and certified in near-perfect condition, you could be looking at serious money. Some rare, certified examples have sold privately for hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on their condition and rarity. And that brings us to the real heart of this video. What is the actual value of this coin? Let me say this clearly. If you hold a circulated 1994 5 Rand, and it shows signs of wear, it might be worth just a little over its face value, maybe a couple of dollars to the right buyer. If your coin is in excellent condition, with very little wear, or better yet, uncirculated, it could be worth significantly more, maybe up to $50 or more, depending on demand. But if you're lucky enough to have one of the proof coins, the ones minted in small numbers, with that mirror finish and sharp detail, and if it's been kept in pristine condition, graded by a professional, you may be holding a piece worth several hundred to even a few $1,000s. Rare proof coins, especially those graded in the highest categories, have reportedly changed hands in private sales and auctions for large sums. Not often, and not always publicly, but enough to keep collectors searching and hoping. So, is this a $1 million coin? Not likely, unless you're talking about the value of its story, the inspiration it carries, and the moment in history it represents. But can it be worth hundreds, or even a few thousand in the right condition? Yes, absolutely. And for the right person, someone who values what it stands for, maybe that's worth more than money. If you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to subscribe. Because every coin has a story. Some are about money, but the best ones are about meaning.